Hello everyone. I'm going to give you a brief introduction to the Juniper JNCIS course for the service provider that I created on Udemy. We're just going to have a quick look at what Juniper suggests that you need to know for it tests you on, and then we'll have a little look and see whether that's covered in the Udemy course. Okay, so the recommended training is the Junos Intermediate Routing, the Junos Service Provider Switching, and the Junos MPLS Fundamentals. So let's have a look at the exam objectives. Okay, so under the protocol independent routing, they want you to identify the concepts, operation, or functionality of various protocol independent routing concepts. So this is non-dynamic routing. So they want you to know static, aggregate, and generated routes, and Martian addresses. Let's have a look at my course and see what we've done here. So under the protocol intermediate routing, okay, so we have static routing, qualified next hop, which is like floated static route, static default options, aggregated routes, and Martian routes. Okay, so it looks like we've covered them. Routing instances and rib groups, load balancing, and filter-based forwarding. Let's see if we cover this. So we have our load balancing right here. Sorry, our Martian addresses, our load balancing, and our filter-based forwarding. We also have routing instances, and we have our rib groups. So it looks like we've covered everything for the protocol independent routing. Let's have a look at the open shortest path first. So they want you to know how to see the link state database, the OSPF packet types and the router ID, adjacencies and neighbors, designated and backup designated routers, OSPF areas and router types, link state advertisements, i.e. LSA packet types. So let's have a little look and see what we have under OSPF. So we have Basic Theory 1 and Basic Theory 2. Two videos on basic OSPF configuration and some basic OSPF configuration commands. We have the OSPF metrics. We also have the area theory. We have multi-area. And then we have our stub, total stub, and not so stubby areas. We've got timers, basic authentication, and bidirectional forwarding detection. All of these are for OSPF. So it looks like that is well covered. Let's have a look at the ISIS now. So they want you to identify concepts, operation, and functionality of ISIS. So link state database, the ISIS protocol data units, type length values, adjacencies and neighbors, levels and areas, and designated intermediate system, or DIS, and the metrics. Let's have a little look and see what we have here. So we have a bit of ISIS theory, an intra-area configuration, a full area configuration with level 1, level 2 routers. We have full mesh area on ISIS, and we have authentication and BFD on ISIS as well. Right, let's see what else they want you to know. So for BGP, they want you to know BGP basic operations, BGP message types, the attributes, the path selection, the internal and external IBGP and eBGP functions. Let's see what we have here under BGP. So we have basic BGP theory. We have our first BGP config. We have our first route policy. We have eBGP to eBGP route sharing, IBGP configs, next hop self for IBGP. We have information on route reflectors. We have route selection theory and route preference. And we have AS path, and we have the BGP med. So it looks like everything is covered for BGP. Let's have a look now under the layer 2 bridging or VLANs. So they want you to have a look at the service provider switching platforms, bridging elements and terminology, frame processing, virtual switches, Q&Q tunneling. Okay, let's have a look. Oh, and let's might as well have a look at the spanning tree while we're here. So spanning tree, they want you to know STP, rapid spanning tree, multiple spanning tree, the port roles, BPDUs, spanning tree security. Okay, let's have a look, see what we have under service provider switching. Okay, so we have our bridge domains, our access and trunk ports, inter VLAN routing, rapid spanning tree, VLAN spanning tree and multiple spanning tree, and spanning tree security. We have 802.1q versus 802.1 AD, so Q and Q. We have the service provider switching key terms, framework, Q and Q configurations, how to limit customer VLANs, CTAG normalization, VLAN rewrites, and then we have our multi-chassis lag as well, and we have our standard lag also. All right, so it looks like we've covered everything for spanning tree. Have a look at MPLS. So we have MPLS terminology, MPLS packet header, end-to-end packet flow and forwarding, labels and label information base, MPLS and routing tables, RSVP, LDP, and this is new in this particular version of the exam, some segment routing. So let's have a little look what we have under our MPLS. So we have an MPLS overview, brief overview on pseudo wires, how to enable MPLS, static label switch paths, an LDP introduction, how to set up LDP, RSVP basic configuration and introduction, bandwidth reservation and more, RSVP explicit route objects, 3 parts, and we have an introduction to CSPF and the traffic engineering database. We go through the CSPF tie-breaking rules. We have a look at admin groups and how to use admin groups. We have a look at how to configure LSP performance. We have a look at the primary and secondary LSP paths and preemption. We also have a look at MPLS fast reroute and MPLS link protection, MPLS freight sharing, some miscellaneous features, and some segment routing. So it looks like we have that all covered. So then we have our IPv6, so IPv4 versus IPv6, the address types, address scope, auto configuration, i.e. slacks, and some tunneling. And under the normal tunnels, we have IP tunnels and GRE. Okay, and under the high availability, we have link aggregation, which we've covered in the switching, graceful restart, graceful routing engine switchover, non-stop bridging, non-stop routing, bidirectional forwarding detection, which is covered in all the routing protocols, VRRP, and in-service upgrade. So let's have a look at our tunnels and services. So we have our IP tunnels and our GRE tunnels, how to do routing protocols over tunnels on Juniper devices. We have our VRRP. We have our in-service upgrade with GRES and non-stop routing. We have some IPv6 theory, loopback configuration, IPv6 static routes, how to do OSPF, ISIS, and BGP over IPv6, and how to do IPv6 over IPv4 tunnels. And I've also included here nearly 2 hours upskill for the JNCIS Enterprise, predominantly because the JNCIS Enterprise requires protocol independent routing, which is and intermediate routing, which is included in the JNCIS. It's the exact same course, and their switching course is very, very, very similar. So there only just needed to be a few videos for the upskill, basically because on service provider equipment you're using MX series routers, whereas on the enterprise you're using EX series switches or QFX series if you have to. So on the JNCIS Enterprise section, we have how to do your VLANs, access and trunk ports, RSTP, IRB interfaces, the voice VLAN, MAC limiting, DHCP snooping, ARP inspection and source guard, storm control, and layer 2 firewall filters. So there will be a link below if you're interested in partaking in this particular course. And as you can see here, Udemy tend to drop the price of the courses quite often. Sometimes this once, twice a week that they actually do this. But if you're interested and you enjoy it, I look forward to seeing you there. Thank you very much for your time.